G'day legends, welcome back to Slaying Sober. Today's guest is a drug smuggler, an iron woman, a queer history maker, and a ukulele player. She is also the author of her memoir, How the Fuck Would I Know? Today, I'm honoured and privileged to share part of Kate Rowe's story. It's a wild ride which takes us through Southeast Asia on a drug smuggling route, almost dying of hepatitis, and being enmeshed in the UK underworld as a drug dealer. We also touch on how the drug use caught up to her through psychosis and suicide attempts. Her redemption story and how she's navigated the last 48 years of her sobriety are incredible. It hasn't always been smooth sailing, but she is now living life on life's terms. This includes the realisation about her sexuality and being part of the first ever Mardi Gras, where she was jailed for chanting, "Up the Lesos." Kate's memoir, How the Fuck Would I Know, is a beautiful nod to how being teachable, open-minded, and living by an ethical framework can lead to a life of contentment. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Kate as much as I enjoyed having it. Welcome to Kate's story. Hi, I'm James. Welcome to Slaying Sober, where we tell stories of addiction, recovery, and hope. Wherever you are on your sober journey, know that you do not stand alone. A quick heads up before we dive in. Slaying Sober episodes get colourful, sweary, and real about drug use, wild nights, and the messy road to recovery. We share a powerful message of enlightenment and hope in an entertaining style that we hope lifts you up. But at times we get deep and touch on themes such as suicide and idealisation of chaos. If that's too heavy for you right now, take care of yourself first and come back later. We're here for honest stories, not to trigger. Listen when you're ready, and thanks for your support of Slaying Sober. Hi Kate, welcome to Slaying Sober. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for asking me.
No problems. So when I have guests on, I know a lot of them, but I was really drawn to your story. And when I read a little bit of a bio of you, it said you're an author, an iron woman, a queer history maker, a drug smuggler, and a ukulele player. So we've got a fair bit to get through today, maybe.
Not all at the same time. Yeah.
Tell me first, the book that you've just written, now it's titled How the Fuck Would I Know?
Right.
What does that mean for you, and what can we expect inside of it?
Well, so, I'm 74, I'll be 75 next month. And, that's a long time to be alive and to have life experience. And I think one of the things that I've learnt in the last 5 to 10 years really is that I really don't know very much. And I think when we get older, we can think we know because we've got lots of lived experience, but that doesn't mean to say that I actually know. And so I like to remain teachable. And so when I say, what the fuck do I know? It means that I can ask for help or some guidance and find the answers somewhere else other than in my sometimes very warped brain. So that's what it means to me.
What a beautiful way of describing it. That's fabulous. I love that. So beautiful. And tell us about, so you were born in England,
yes,
but you arrived on the shores of Australia in 1970.
Yeah, as a 10-pound pom.
My parents actually arrived in the 70s as well under very similar circumstances.
Yes, yeah.
And what were you running away from something or towards something?
Well, it's actually a bit of a mixture because at school, I went to a state high school, comprehensive they call them in England, and in geography, we did, of course, the British Empire. So we did all the Commonwealth
Yes.
countries, and I was really fascinated. This is when I'm about 11. I was really fascinated with Australia. I used to read Neville Shute and all the,
Mm.
I did extracurricular study purely out of pleasure. I thought it was an adventure. I had a very fiery imagination, so I thought I want to be a Jillaroo because
Yeah.
I've discovered what a Jillaroo was. There weren't many Jillaroos. It was
Yeah.
mainly Jackaroos, and so I really wanted to come
Yes.
here. It was a dream of mine, but
Mm.
when I was 14, I asked my parents if I could go. They have a thing called the Big Brother movement, and it was for boys, so they could get exchange and go to Australia for 6 months. But it was only for boys. Girls never got a look in, so that was disappointing. So I just forgot about it. And then
Mm.
when I was 19 and in a very bad place, one of many times of being in a very bad place, I just wanted to.
Yes.
I passed Australia House, and there it was, the assisted passage. So it was a way of fulfilling my dream, but also I definitely was running away. There's no risk about that, and I was running away from my
Yeah. And were
family.
drugs and alcohol?
Yes, yeah,
Yep.
very much so. I I by the time I was 17, I was already drinking heavily. And then back in the day, so we're talking mid 60s, late 60s, they were selling
Mm.
pills in the pubs and everything. And that's how I first started.
Yeah.
And, very quickly I was in trouble with the police taking everything, and I got thrown out of home. And, I did try to. Stop, and I sort of did, but then I went into
Mm.
anorexia. For nearly died from anorexia. So all stuff about not wanting to deal with my
Wow.
issues. So I did for a while there
Yes.
when I was anorexic. I didn't. I wasn't taking drugs. I was living at home again. And so this was my
Hmm.
way of, oh, well, I can change my life now. If I just go to another country, I'll change my life. Everything will be fine. Forgetting actually that I didn't know I was the problem at that point.
Yeah. A classic geographical.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Nothing original about
So,
it.
so when you landed in Australia, when you landed in Australia in the 70s, it was the land of opportunity. What did Australia mean and present with you?
Well, it was hard. I mean, I think uh, Australia's always been a racist country, and I mean, I'm white, so I didn't get that kind of racism. But it was the latest wave, so every wave copped it. We just didn't cop it as much as
Yes.
people from other cultures. But the whole whinging pom thing.
Mm.
But look, you could get a job at the drop of a hat. I mean, it was not hard to find work, and I did
Yes.
factory work. I did all sorts of different things. If I didn't like it, I'd leave. The next day, I could get another job. There was nothing wrong there. Um, so in the 2 years before I went traveling, I did all sorts of jobs, staying with a relative who lived here, and then I got kicked out of there because I was starting to use drugs again, and you know, enticing one of
Yes.
my cousins to join me, and then I did actually get a job. I settled down, and I did my, I guess, the school certificate, GSC's advanced thing. I did it part time at Granville College, and apparently I was really good, especially at English. Funny that. And I was encouraged
Mm.
to stay and do my
The mother
HSC.
tongue.
Yeah, well, no, just because I'm good with words, right?
Yes.
As I discover. But
Yes.
instead, I just decided I didn't want to study anymore, and had no commitment to anything. And I just went traveling. And that was the beginning of crossing what I call the thin red line. When I started traveling in Southeast Asia, it all came back
Yep.
again very quickly.
So, what took you to Southeast Asia?
Well, I was, we were hippies back then, and hippies went through Southeast Asia.
Yep.
And, and
Mm.
I wanted to travel. I love travel. I loved to travel then. But I just, I didn't have any sense of who I was. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So if someone said to me, "Oh, let's go to Darwin," I'd go to Darwin. Oh, let's walk across East Timor. Oh, okay, I'll walk across East Timor. So let's go to Bali. Oh, well, let's go to Bali. And that's where it really started. And I have to preface that, if anyone's listening, that the Bali that you see now is not the Bali that was there 50 years ago. Nothing like it. It was
Yeah.
Losmans, if you even know what that is. It was dirt, Indonesian food, dirt roads, no electricity, no hot water, lots and lots of drugs. So, and that's how it
Yeah.
all. My first day
Yeah.
there it was, and that was the beginning of the end, really.
So that travel through Southeast Asia, that was a big sort of drug smuggling
Yes, yeah,
link, wasn't it, back in the
yeah,
70s
yeah.
between Europe and Australia?
Jane, yes, exactly. And people used to go to Afghanistan, but you travel. So I mean, I bought drugs and sold drugs. I smuggled drugs. But I also got very sick with dysentery and then hepatitis. And my plan was always to make money, to land back in England with money. And what better way to do it than
Yes.
sell drugs? No ethics about it at all. But I got I got
Yeah.
really sick in Nepal, in India. I mean, I nearly died from hepatitis, and I had to leave. So I never actually got to
Wow.
Afghanistan or the Punjab. So in a sense, I kind of feel like I was looked after, because the state that I was in, I was so obviously a target. I mean, you would have picked me a mile away that I was just this pathetic drug dealer. Had no sense of safety whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I would have been caught like the Bali Nine or any of those, Chappelle, any of those. That could have been me. I mean, I really look back now, and I would have
Yes.
been in jail still, or I would have got hung, because they did hang people for taking drugs much more then than they do now. Yeah, so it was a 9-month drug
So
fest.
this insanity, was it spurred on by your use, or were you coerced into being a drug smuggler?
No, not at all. It was just my madness. It was just me. Um,
Mm.
I thought I was cool. I thought, everyone's doing this. I can do this. No one coerced me at all. Probably if they had, I probably would have been more obvious, because I would have been scared. But I didn't have any fear about what I was
Yes.
doing, and that was really stupid. Looking back, really, really stupid.
Mm.
But when you're
Did you understand the consequences?
no, I not at all. I knew I knew that in Singapore you could go to jail if your hair was be, be longer than your collar, and they were really strict, really, really strict in
Mm.
Singapore. So I was I was a good girl in Singapore. But as soon as I hit Malaya, I was out to the opium dens. It was all on,
Yeah.
and so in a sense, that lack of uh, consequences, it could have destroyed me. At this point, I think it kind of saved me. I mean, I just did some really stupid things, but I got really sick, and because I got really sick, I think the worst would have been going to Afghanistan. If I
Yeah.
look back now, if I tried to smuggle drugs into England, I mean, that is a really stupid idea. Then and now. So
Yeah. So the sickness almost killed you, but also saved you as well.
yeah, paradoxically, I think so. I mean, it didn't stop my drug use, because I couldn't drink. I was really sick with hepatitis, and I had to go back home and stay with my parents. And the doctors just said, "Well, you can't have alcohol for 12 months because your liver was stuffed." But I say this is how the mind of an addict, an alcoholic, works. But they didn't say I couldn't take drugs. So, because they didn't say that,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
read that as, "Oh, well, that's all right then." So,
Mm.
and so I did.
Yeah. The insanity of it
Yes,
all.
absolutely,
Yeah.
totally
A-
insane.
And and in Southeast Asia, the my very limited understanding of it is the further north that you get, there's sort of the Thailand marijuana and the Buddha sticks, and then
Yes,
you were heading up towards Afghanistan and the opium fields up
that's right.
there.
Yeah.
Was your drug usage following this path with heavier drugs and harder drugs?
It was. I started. doing heroin in Thailand, but I never actually ever used a needle because in my head, I had a doctor say that you're an addict. And I said, well, I'm not using a needle. So no, I'm not an addict. I mean, absolute, how blind
Yeah.
was I? So that in my head, as long as I'm not using a
Mm.
needle, I'm not an addict. But I was smoking heroin a lot and cocaine and everything else but using a needle. And so, in a sense, again, that
Yep.
mad
Okay.
thought, I think, saved me.
Yeah. Yeah. So you ended up back in England after
Mm,
this Southeast Asia trip?
yeah.
And what sort of state were you in then?
Well, as I say, I was 6 stone, like that's 49 kilos or something, very sick. It took me a year to recover from
Wow.
that. And,
Mm.
I wasn't drink. I was at home. I didn't take any drugs or anything. So that 1 year when I actually didn't have anything, I was very unhappy. I didn't want to be at home. They didn't want me there. I had nowhere else to go. So as soon as I was well enough, I started looking for a job, and I got this job as a welfare worker actually because I really did feel that experience in Southeast Everett really, it was quite eye opening, and I really wanted to
Yeah.
do something to help, even though I didn't realize how sick I was mentally.
Mm.
So I
Mm.
got this job as a residential care worker for kids coming out of jail who or were homeless because of drugs and alcohol, and I ended up getting involved in. It was basically being used by my team leader as a front for drug dealing. And so he had all these drug dealers.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And I was one of his drug dealers. And so there I was kicking
Wow.
kids out for being drunk or on drugs. And I was up in my room, literally up in my room, doing exactly the same thing. Again, madness. I mean, I didn't see anything. I was absolutely blind to the paradox of what I was doing. Like, if you're kicking them out, you're doing the same thing. Isn't there something wrong here? No, I didn't think about it.
And so this was your boss that had encouraged you to do this. Did he know about your past, or did he see an
No,
opportunity there?
no, but as soon as we started getting to know each other, there was a group of 3 or 4 of us. So he used to be in a rock band in the 60s, a really good guitarist. So we'd go into his room and we'd all, we'd listen to him playing rock music, and we'd listen to 60s music, and out would come the dope, and out would come the cocaine. And
Yeah.
and then he just said, "Oh, you can make some money. This is really good quality," and it was. Um, and so for me, it was I got to get my drugs, you know, and obviously I was still drinking a lot because I sold them at pubs, and so I got to make money, but I also didn't have to pay for my drugs, and I made quite a bit of money. Till and it was great till it wasn't, as all things come to pass, and this
So,
did.
where was the downfall there? What happened?
So the downfall there was that um, I used too much speed. Um, so I didn't eat, I didn't sleep, I didn't realize how paranoid I'd become because speed makes you really paranoid. And I was dealing. I got mugged when I was dealing. I was making silly mistakes, and I met some of the bigger upper drug dealers who literally wore black suits,
Yeah.
sunglasses, and carried guns. And I
Mm.
remember sitting there thinking, this doesn't feel right. The gun thing really, oh my God, what am I getting myself into? Um, but what happened is that I got busted, and the police, obviously, they found stuff. And I said to them, if you let me leave the country, I'll tell you who my dealer is. And so that's how it ended, is I squealed on him, but I got out of the country. But by this time, I stopped taking all the heavy stuff, but I was still smoking dope. Um, and that's how I ran away again. My sister lent me some money because I just run out of money as well because I was just using a lot of drugs, and that's when it all, the shit hit the fan basically because I went into a speed psychosis on my arrival back here in 1974, at the end of 74. No, sorry, the end of 76. I came back, and
Yeah.
I was falling apart, and I didn't understand why. So and I didn't know anyone here. That was
Yeah.
the worst thing.
And how old were you then?
I was 25. 1976, yeah, I was 25. Yeah. And that was in November.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yep.
Go on, I keep going.
And what led to your sobriety?
Well, as I say, I got into a household in Glebe, and they were smoking dope. And they were, and I started drinking I like I hate beer. I mean, I can't stand. I never. It was the one drink I just couldn't stand it. But I was drinking anything I could get my hands on because I felt like I was losing it. And in fact, that was exactly what was going on. I was losing it. There was some dope, but I was in a mess. I got a job at RPA. I couldn't. I mean, I was becoming dysfunctional. And in the end,
Yes.
um, I called for help. I called a mental institution, I think Roselle Hospital, and I just thought I kind of knew I needed help, but I didn't know what. And so there was a alcohol ward there, I think still called McKinnon. And for whatever reason, it was a weekend. The receptionist put me through to McKinnon, and um, so the nurse, I kept saying, she said, well, this is an alcohol unit. I said, well, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't know why they've given. So I told her about my drug use a bit and I don't know what's going on. And she said, look, I know a support group that can maybe help you. And I was so desperate. I would have jumped off Harbour Bridge if you told me that was going to help me get out of the fear and the complete collapse. I knew I was mentally breaking down. I would have done it. I would have done anything you told me to do because I knew I was falling apart. And that's the only saving grace was that at that point I knew that it was the end. And after going around
And
these.
and then someone told you you must remain abstinent to get well.
Well, they kind of sort of said that, and then I said, "But I can drink alcohol." And I was told back then, and I'm glad I was told. And I came to that my own belief that I slowly understood that because I was in that psychosis for 8 months. I was in a rehab. I got thrown out of that rehab. I tried to commit suicide 3 times. Didn't have any drug or alcohol in me, but I was mad, and and no one could cope with me. And so I just thought, well, that last overdose, I say it's not in the book, but um, I that last one was like a really serious attempt. I just thought I'd understood with all these people telling me that I actually couldn't drink or take drugs again. I heard what they were saying, and I didn't. So I didn't want the old life. I mean, I knew that was an end, but I didn't want to stop drinking. It's a very hard place to be when you're fighting the very thing that was going to save me. And so I just thought, well, excuse my language.
Yeah.
I thought, fuck it. I don't want to go back there, but I don't want to do this either. So I sold my body up at the cross because I had no money. I was on sickness benefits.
Yeah.
So I went to the cross, prostituted myself, and got some Mogadon, they're called. I took a whole bottle. That's 30 Mogadon. That's a lot of
Yeah.
Mogadon. But I didn't take any alcohol with it. And again, one of those
Yeah.
paradoxes that had I taken alcohol with 30 Mogadon, I would not be standing
It
here
would
now.
have.
Oh, I would have been dead long. I would have died
Yeah.
that night for sure. And then I was found by some people who had missed me, and they knocked on my door. I think it was maybe 2 days. I was out of it, just in this grotty room I had.
Yeah.
And the first thing that came into my is like, fuck it, I've woken up. Like, I really just didn't want to be here. I couldn't see that things were going to get better, even though people were saying to me, as long as you don't drink or drug, things will get better. I had no faith. I didn't trust them. I didn't know. I just didn't know. But I had a
So
count.
what led you to have hope?
So what happened then was that after that overdose, it was again suggested to me to go and see an alcohol counsellor. I still had support groups, but I wasn't. I wasn't really being honest. I wasn't really didn't have both feet in the room, if you know what I mean. I kind of go because I had nothing else to do. I didn't know, and I just didn't know. I didn't trust what they were saying, even though they were telling me all their stories. That's your story. I'm not like that, right? Neatness. But I went to see this wonderful counsellor called Bunty. She's long dead now, and she said to me, Katie, you're a fragmented person. And it was, I say this, it was a word that it was like someone had put a knife in my stomach, because I literally understood what she meant viscerally, that I never knew who I was. I was just dots on a map, but you couldn't join them up. And that's how I'd lived my whole life. I was a bit of this, a bit of that. You wanted me to do this, oh, I'll do that. I had no idea who I was, none whatsoever. But when she said that, and she said, you can rewrite your story if you start getting committed to your own recovery. And I literally, that day changed my life.
Yeah.
I then started putting in the work for what has become a long time of constant vigilance, if you like, but also
Yeah.
having to find out who I am, warts and all, and there's a lot of warts, and then listen, and being told that that things will get better. You will have a life beyond your ever no one's imagining, and I had to trust them when I now started to listen and hear what other people were saying, that if they could do it, if I did what they did, then I could possibly have a better life. And it's hard. I mean, the first, I know it sounds crazy.
So you've spent the last 48 years putting those fragments back together?
Yes, and they've come together. They've come together. I don't think really until I was about 20 years. I was still acting out my bad behaviour. So, people had to have really, shall we say, direct conversations with me when I was out of order. And I just thought, no. So instead of pointing the finger outward, I had to point the finger inward. And with a lot of support, now I'm in a position to show people, that you can be clean and sober for a very long time. And it's not just about the time, it's about if you continue to do the work, it just more gets revealed. And that's really why I called the book How the Fuck Would I Know? Because if I don't know, then I remain teachable. People who've got more,
how beautiful.
Data, and I think, well, I want what they've got. I haven't reached nirvana, and I never will. But, there's some people I know who are 50, mid-50, 55, been in support groups that long. And they're, the people that are doing the work, they've got a sense of being centered. They've got some humility. You can feel, I sense that their ego isn't on display all the time.
There's something about them.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't know whether I've got that, but
100%. We can all aspire, can't we, to be like that? I've often said that I've been in a lot of rooms, in a lot of places, and it's when I'm in those special rooms with those special people that I really feel like I'm amongst heroes or amongst aspirational people,
Yeah. And also that I'm not terminally unique. It's as simple as that. I'm just very ordinary.
Yes. Yeah. We all are, right?
Yeah.
Now tell me, as you were putting these fragments back together, I believe a big part of that was your sexuality.
Yes. Yeah. So one of the first things that I found out about myself, I think I was 26. Yeah, when I was 26, was that I was a lesbian. And like I'd had people saying to me in my early 20s, and I even went to a lesbian bar in Manchester, and I just thought I can't be like that, because they were all dykes and femmes drinking, lots of drinking.
Yeah.
And yes, I drank, but I just thought, no, this isn't my tribe. But and I wasn't being sexual with anyone actually, because the speed just completely killed my libido, as it does. I don't know whether it still does, but it certainly killed mine. And so that was the first thing I had to grapple with. And I didn't have a aha moment thinking, wait, well, now I know I'm a lesbian. It was like, oh, fuck, I'm a lesbian. And, when I started telling people, I didn't always, I
Yeah.
didn't always get positive feedback. I was not treated very well sometimes.
Yeah.
And so it was just another thing to
Well,
beat
it's
myself
Australia in the
about.
70s, isn't it?
It was. And I had dreadful trouble accepting it. I got involved politically, which was a good thing. I still am.
Yes.
But it took about 5
Mm.
years for me to accept. I did start having affairs and realized, oh my
Mm.
God, yes, this is great. It's better sex than, in my experience, than with men.
This is for me.
Yeah, right. And
Yep.
but I had to find it in myself to be comfortable with that, even though people didn't like it. And so that took about 5 years. And now I don't give a shit. You can think what you like. I mean, it's not my problem.
Was there a big liberation in the homosexual community in the 70s in Australia?
Liberation from about, you mean being
Well, being outwardly gay.
oh yes. Well, I joined the Gay Solidarity Group. They were the ones that initiated the first Mardi Gras, and I went on to the first Mardi Gras. Um,
Oh, you
that
were
was,
there.
oh yeah, I was there. So I got bashed. I got put in jail. Yeah, I mean it turned horrible. I think there was a bit of hargy-bargy on both sides, but that said, the police were just over the top. So, that was another event that made me feel like I was crap. But because I was politically involved, I was
Yeah.
with a group of people, like-minded people politically and from a sexual preference point of view, and we all helped each
Yes.
other get through those years, because it went on for a long time. Um, and so it did become an
Well, it's a
affirmation.
sense of community, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the road. Yeah, if there was a real, and there still is. I mean, look at it now; it's not the same. It can't be the same. Different era, different century, but it
Yes.
still holds a very
Mm.
special place in my heart, and I'm very proud to have been there when it first started. But that said, there's a lot of denial in the queer community about the drug and alcohol. There's a big denial, and it's very sad, because so much of it, especially with the men, is so much centers still around bars and drugs, and I find that really sad. But
Yeah.
that's
Mm.
one day that'll get sorted.
Yeah, absolutely. So you found your sobriety and your sexuality, hand in hand came together.
Yes, pretty
What
much,
an
yeah.
interesting time.
But,
What did you get jailed for in the end?
well, so my first charge was saying unseemly words up the Lesos on the march. So that, but we
Up
got,
the
yeah,
lesos.
but that charge was dropped because of all the political action we took. But there were a couple of other, ones. There was a Right to Light rally a couple of weeks after that, and I got, these lovely Christians. I got completely bashed by them, because it was in a book. We just spoke
Oh
up and were
gosh.
about abortion, and I never paid the fine for that.
Mm.
That's why I went to jail, because back
Yeah.
then they'd just come around and grab you if you hadn't paid the fine, and I hadn't paid the fine. I didn't have the money. It was,
Wow.
look, $75.
Mm.
That's probably about $700,000 now. I didn't have the money, but I didn't
Yeah.
want to pay. I was very belligerent. So they said, you've got to go to jail for 4 days. So I did, and I never want to go back there again. It was horrible.
Oh,
Yeah.
but gee, you've really
Another.
paved the way for your community, now, and we're coming up to Mardi Gras in a couple of
We
weeks,
are
aren't we?
indeed. Yes, we are indeed. And so this Sunday is the fair day, and I always go to our 78 tent, and I'm always increasingly younger and younger. I'll say queer for want of the whole alphabet or identification, but we
Yes.
get a lot of young people coming into the tent. Sometimes they're like 14 or 15 and they come from out west or out in the country and they want to hug us, and they come in holding hands, and they just say thank you. And I just think that's where I love it, is
Yeah.
that not everywhere, like I know it's worse in the country, but there's more. You can get married if you want now. You can hold your hands, you can be who you are. And for me, one of the things I've learned in continuing working on my recovery is, there's a saying that says, to thine own self be true. It sounds really cliched, but it absolutely, I've learned to be true to myself, no matter what that is. And if other people can be true
Yep.
to themselves, especially in that queer space, it really makes my heart flutter, because I just think if that's what's happened, it's worth it. And the next generation will do
Yeah.
something. Who knows what they'll do? I don't know. I won't be around, but we're handing the baton over, really. But yeah, we're really respected, and I love
Yeah.
that.
And hopefully, similar to this conversation as well, Kate, we're talking about sobriety and recovery and
Yeah,
passing the message of hope on.
yeah,
And I know when we initially met, we had that discussion about um, the ways that it's been done for a long time, and how we've got this platform now in having this conversation that can be in people's hands
yeah.
24/7, that people can listen to this and hopefully get a few glimmers of hope.
Yeah. And that whole thing, because I used to feel so alone. Um, so I can be alone, but I'm not lonely. And I think having support groups,
Yes.
whatever that support group is, just having the mirror in front of you that, oh my God, that person's just like me, said something, that's the way I feel. Oh, they've had that experience, I've had that experience too. And so you get talking to each other. And so, there's a whole, I think the groups I go to, it's based on honesty. And I mean, I could bullshit.
Mm,
I could bullshit all. I could have bullshitted for 48 years, but I don't think I'd be the kind of person I am now if
yeah.
I'd bullshitted for 48 years. And so I have a
Mm,
conscience, I have an ethical framework, and I have a sense of, I don't know what it is. I'm not a Christian. I was Catholic, but I'm not. I'm not a Christian. But I've grown to feel like that so much has happened in my life, both in my drug and alcohol using days and in the last 48 years, that you just think, I couldn't have thought of that answer. That comes left of field. These horrible and some horrible things have happened to me, which are in the book. Um, and yet not only did I
mm,
survive, I grew stronger as a person. So I kind of feel sometimes, because I just feel like humans are basically destroying the planet. I mean, we just, certain people on the
yep.
planet are getting us there quicker. But I do feel, the sun still comes
Mm,
up, it still goes down, the waves come in, the waves go out. The dogs do what they do, the cats do what they do.
mm.
There's something bigger than us. Do I know what it is? No, of course not. How the fuck would I know? I don't. I mean, I don't. I,
No.
I don't know what it is. I just feel that there is that I have been incredibly looked after, even when I don't. Even at my worst times, and there've been some really horrible times, and maybe in the future too. But I always kind of, it's weird. I just sort of say, well, I don't know what to do. I talk to the sky. I don't know what to do. I just need some help. Show me the way. And that's what I'll say. I'm not on my knees praying. I don't do that. But
Yeah.
I do. I just can't keep my heart
No.
open for guidance, because I don't know. So
That's a beautiful, beautiful way of putting it. I've got one final question for you,
sure.
Kate. Are you content with life now?
Oh, more than content. Like, in the last
Yeah.
so in the last 5 years, but when I wrote this book, I wrote it because people kept telling me, you've got so many amazing stories, you should write a book. And I've always been told I could write, but one of my defects, if you like, is that I would push people away from me if they said something nice about me. And so I kept doing that about this. No, I can't. I've had stuff published, but no, I can't write. And I just thought, I can't bear telling people saying this to me. I'm going to do it. And it took 3 months. So it didn't take very long, the first draft. It just was almost wrote itself. It didn't really, but you know what I mean?
Really?
It just
came out of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult. Some of it was difficult. But when I received that first box that I ordered of the book and I got the book out, I just felt this incredible, I didn't even know I was carrying a load, if you know what I mean. But people have said to me, you're so much lighter.
Yeah.
Because it's done. I don't have to do any of that work about my past. It's done. I've healed, as you know, I'm damaged, but I'm healed. And so that means there's room for other good stuff. And so at 75, and every day is precious. I absolutely, every day is precious. I don't have any arrogance about myself at all. I grab every day because it could be my last one. And I just feel very, very contented. I'm not in nirvana. I feel like the fourth dimension sometimes, in the sense of none of this makes sense, but my God, I'm so glad I'm here, whatever it is. And more will be revealed. And at 1978, 77, when I first stopped, none of this, so many people just don't wait till the miracles happen, if you know what I mean. And the miracles can take years. Like, it's hard fucking work. But those miracles have happened. Those promises that I've heard in places, they've come true. And so I'm very contented, absolutely contented with who I am. And if you don't like me, I'm fine with that now. I don't like everybody. Not everybody likes me, but that's fine. Yeah. I don't fall apart when people tell me I'm a horrible person, because I know I'm not anymore.
Yeah.
So
Look, I am so glad we've had this conversation, Kate.
Thank you.
It's been really, really beautiful to meet you. And I can't wait to read your book, because I know there's so much more to your story than this 40-minute conversation. But I've learnt so much, and I've learnt that there is hope there, and to be ourselves, and that life just keeps getting better.
And you can have fun. I play the ukulele. It's so much fun.
Yes.
Yes.
If we catch up for a round 2, I might have to get you to pull one out and have a diddle for us. Pleasure, Kate. I wish you all the best. Thanks for joining us today on Slaying Sober. If you're sober curious, in addiction, or know someone who could benefit from listening, please share this episode with them. Jump over to Instagram and say g'day at Slaying Sober Pod, and follow us on Spotify to hear the latest episodes come out. Until then, keep slaying sober.